The Kayvon Thibodeau versus Aidan Hutchinson topic came back up. People kind of been at Hutch's throat. You gave him a B-. I was kind of upset with that. I think you're the one. I think you said he needed to be the guy that improved the most too, coming back from the second half.
Yep.
Well, they asked about him yesterday, and he had this to say.
1 second. Sorry, got to cue it up. There it is.
You have the.
Which is, I mean, everybody looks at sacks, but you being able to turn a guy into another sack or something like that, you know, just affecting the quarterback. How do you value a good rush, a good performance, a good game besides the win and losses?
No, it's hard. You know, it's hard because as a player, you understand how much the media and how much other things love stats and stuff like that. But my goal every game is just to rush as good as I can. You know, win my one-on-ones and everything like that. And I feel like as long as you control the controllables and you focus on that, that's always been my mentality my entire career. And the sacks come when they come. And if you try to start forcing sacks, or if you know, I'm happy for everyone getting production. And you know, as long as we're getting wins, I'm looking at the playoffs, man. And I'm looking at, you know, that run. You know, that's when I feel like it's the most important to be great, especially as a defensive line.
I love that answer because
I do and I don't.
Why don't you?
I do. Obviously, you love to hear it. So, you know, I'm focused on winning. I'm happy if the team wins. I'm happy. You love to hear that for sure. But like, I kind of want him to be a little pissed too.
He is pissed.
I kind of want him to be like, yeah, I want to get fucking sacks. Yeah, I want to get the quarterback on the ground. I want to kill these guys. Obviously, he said the right thing. Like, I love that answer as well of saying, you know, oh, we gotta. Happy when the team wins. I'm worried about the playoffs. I'm worried about winning and not individual stats. But also, like, you should want to get sacks, man. You should want to go out there and get the quarterback on the ground.
See, for me, and I don't remember if it was in that part of the answer or like the one before. I may have sent the wrong one, but he kind of went into detail. Was like, I think he's bringing more. Like, I get the sack is like the end all be all. Like he mentioned, like the media. That's what the media wants, is to see like the actual sack number. But when you put on the tape, he's still being effective out there on the field.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's just, I've been asking for this all season. I know Jeff asked for it early in the season. There needs to be somebody else to step up in these moments. And like he said, too, it's not always going to be Aidan to land a sack. Sometimes you need him to apply the pressure so he runs the sack somewhere else, like we saw with Carson Wentz earlier last year. Like that's how football works sometimes. I don't need the sacks to know that Aidan's out there being productive, you know, or contributing to his team, like winning games or making like winning plays on the defensive side of the field. Like, he's out there busting his ass. You see him in the backfield every single play. Yeah. It's just he's not winning and actually like landing the sack. But I'm not here to shit on him for it.
I'm not shitting on him for it. I just expected more. Like I expect more, and I want him to go out there and get sacked. And yeah, like you said, like pressures are cool and everything. Getting in the backfield's awesome, but when you get in the backfield, but the quarterback still gets out of there and makes a throw. You know, yeah, he got the pressure. He made a good play, but it would have been a lot better play if he would have got the quarterback on the ground, and the quarterback wouldn't have been able to throw for a first down. So I know he's still making plays. He's still being a very impactful player, and he said the right things about wanting to win, not worried about the numbers, worried about wins and playoffs, and that's what you should be worried about 100%, but should also want to kill the quarterback because that helps you win games.
And that's why I love it, though, is like that's what matters at the end of the day, is like winning the game. You know, and you can only do so much. I guess, yeah, I'd like to see him close the gap between like that second tier edge rusher to like one of those top tier guys. I definitely would, but I'm just not here to shit on him for it. Like, I do see the effort there. I just don't think there's like a complete team effort. And we've seen it at times again, you know, in games against Bryce Young or freaking, you know, Jimmy Garoppolo's and shit like that. Like, not the greatest, you know. But I think that's what he's missing that the other guys don't have. I get that Max Crosby doing damage, and I get that T.J. Watt's doing damage, but you're looking at guys with other pieces that part of that defensive line. And going from, I mean, Alex Highsmith is just, he might be just as good, if not better, than what Aidan is right now. Yeah. And it's hard to get a read on that, too, because he's also playing with T.J. on his line. Shit, when T.J. came out of the draft, he had freaking, what's his name, ended up going to the Ravens, tore his Achilles in his pro day.
Ajabo.
Yeah. I almost said Ajarbo. But
Hutch had a Jabo in college, yeah.
But I think they benefactored each other. You know, Jabo looked great because of Aidan. Aidan looked great because of Jabo. I think the vice versa. Last year, you saw James Houston come along. Part of what Houston was doing, he was blessed with one-on-one matchups because Aidan was causing traffic. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It goes hand in hand. It's a defensive line. It's a unit, not just like one player. And unfortunately, he doesn't have that. So it's until then, I guess the media is going to be pretty.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Harsh on him.
Yeah, it's a defensive line. It's a unit. You want to see guys step up, and Ali McNeil stepped up. He's got 4 sacks on the season. Other guys have been doing things, but
Consistently, though.
he doesn't have that elite tandem. So it has to be him because they have faith in him, or they would have gone. They have this high standard of him, or they would have gone out and addressed it, but they didn't. So it's him, and it's on him. And that's not his fault, it's just the reality of things. And like I said, do I care if the Lions win, 28 to whatever, if they win the game, but Hutch has 0 sacks, I'm not going to be bitching about it. But when it comes down, when you're playing elite quarterbacks, when it comes down to the playoffs, when it comes down to stuff like that, getting the quarterback on the ground is going to be extremely important.
Well, that's the thing, too, right? It's a 3-game drought for Aidan Hutchinson, if I'm not mistaken. Hasn't had one since October 8th, I think was the date. I've seen the chat a couple times. Well, they're 2-1 in those games. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are winning. Yeah. He is getting pressure. So I just don't I guess I get it, man. I'm in media. You got to talk about these things. If the show sheet's a little dry, you're tired of speaking of the same thing over and over again. Like, maybe it is time to pick on Hutch because there's nothing else to talk about, and maybe there's a discussion worth having.
I don't think it's picking on him. Like, you make it sound like we're bullying the guy.
You're bullying him.
I expected more. I expect him to be – I have the expectations of him being an elite pass rusher. And elite pass rushers go out there and sack the quarterback. And, yeah, he is doing other things. The interception was great. The pressures are cool. It's a good look, I guess, but, like – it's more important to get the quarterback on the ground than it is to pressure him and let him run around. And that is going to be something that he is going to have to deal with in this game coming up because Justin Herbert can avoid pressures in the pocket. Justin Herbert can move around in the pocket. So get your hands on him, throw him on the ground.
John Johnson of Woodward Sports Chat says Houston's production is directly related to Hutch's impact.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, he's giving those one-on-one matchups. And listen, though, Houston against those one-on-one matchups was dominating, too. I don't want to take away from that. The bend that Houston has is, like, incredible. Dude's literally out there hitting basketball moves on right tackles. It was disgusting. He also says AG needs to move him around more. That was something that I felt like we've seen a lot more in the beginning of the season. Hasn't felt like he's moved around as much since. What do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe the lack of ability on the defensive line, like when you had a James Houston, when you had guys that you could move in and move around, and you knew you had an edge rusher in James Houston. That because I saw what I liked a lot was when Hutch and Houston were on the same side of the defensive line, and you had them both coming off the same side. But now you need Hutch. He's your best pass rusher, so he has to be your pass rusher. Like if you don't put him on the outside, then you have who are you putting up, Romeo and Charles Harris as your outside pass rushers? Or Pascal or Kaminsky. Like Pascal has been out. Kaminsky hasn't been having the best season. So I think they want to put their best guy in the best spot he's at.
That's a great point too. I think I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like if you want to maximize somebody to their abilities, it's kind of the same way I feel about Cade Cunningham. It's like if I want Cade to maximize his abilities, I want the pieces that fit him most around him.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense with Aidan Hutchinson too. Another thing I was thinking about too while you were speaking was, Jack Campbell has been asked to play that Sam spot that he doesn't typically play. He's like brand new to playing just in general, both pro and college. And maybe you're not able to have that type of versatility if he's just not learning that one single position. You can't just go throw Aiden on the right side if Jack is out there because Jack is only learning to rush off that right side. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. JB, what do you think it is?
What, with Aiden and the sack drought that he's in right now?
Yeah. Is it a big deal?
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal and it's kind of not. Just because, as Spencer said, he gave the right answer, the PC answer, but then again, he said the same thing a year ago when asked about the Michigan State versus Michigan rivalry. Oh, no, I just hope they all go out there and have a good game and no one gets hurt. Like, no, dude, pick a side. Figure it out, whichever one you want. And, yeah, you kind of want to see a little bit more fire and excitement out of them.
Yeah, you were the one that said we didn't have any dogs last week.
What, like just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was this week. I was looking at TJ Watt from Thursday night, Max Crosby from when we played him. The mannerisms, the actions like after successful plays or just in general are different. Those guys are in like gladiator mode. Like, they're ready to rip somebody's head off versus like the little bit of theatrics we get out of the Hutch. But different strokes for different folks. I can't necessarily like lean on that, but those are, talking about that gap, that is the next step up for Hutch is that level of that company.
That level of production, yeah.
Yeah.
But when is that going to come? I know he said he's sitting here looking forward to the playoffs and everything, but what happens when you get to the playoffs and 0 sacks? Now what? Oh, I'm looking ahead to the Super Bowl. Like, come on. Like, something has to change here.
And that's one of the reasons I threw the fit for the Chase Young trade, or just acquire him in general. Because, like, one, he got him for nothing. The Niners did, essentially. Two, it's exactly what, I mean, again, going back to Max Crosby or just TJ Watt, there are guys on their defensive lines that are putting in work. I mean, we noticed them watching Monday Night Football 69 for those guys. I forgot his name, but we peeked him out in the live stream. We're like, dude, that guy's having a fucking game.
Yeah, he was making moves on the interior.
It's like, that's what we need to see out of, like, our guys. And Aleem brought it during the Raiders game, speaking of, like, maybe 2 sacks in that game himself. Again, kudos to Hutch. You know, but Aleem did his own thing, too, in the second sack. But I feel like there needs to be something else there to complete that puzzle. But Brad wants to complete the draft, and I don't blame him, because I do look at his team. I don't know if we're necessarily going to beat. We haven't seen him beat another team above 500 yet to, like, want to go all in. You know what I'm saying?
Chiefs, but yeah.
Yeah, but
what, Mike Tirico?
Yeah, what?
Say what you were going to say.
'Cause I'm light skinned and bald. I'm Mike Tirico.
Say what you were going to say. No, because you're a fantastic sports broadcaster.
I wish I had his bank account.
Yeah, me too.